Hey guys, I'm John Campy of AMC Movie News.
And I'm Dave Bautista playing Drax in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
And we just wanted to let you know that his new movie opens in AMC theaters everywhere on August 1st. You can get your tickets now by going to www.amctheaters.com for your theater showtime and, of course, your movie ticket information.
Go check it out. Guardians of the Galaxy, you're going to love it.
Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chrisley Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course we give you insight into what it all means. Joining me today as our lead host is our production manager, Mr. Dennis Sen.
Welcome everyone to a brand new episode of AMC Movie Talk. As you can see, I'm filling in for John again, who's, I think, 1 foot in the grave, and as soon as he passes, it's going to be a power struggle between me, Schnepp, Mary, Chrisley, Amy Rose, everyone else for the Iron Throne.
Campia! At least it's not the return of Lozenge Campia. That was for like three months. He had that little lozenge in his throat. It's like, hope you feel better, John. You know, rest that throat. We need the powerful Campia voice back here soon.
We also have joining us AMC's Mary Chedikin.
I feel great. I didn't go to Comic-Con. I'm like, y'all are crazy. I'm in good shape.
And we also have the director of the upcoming film, The Death of Superman Lives. What happened, Mr. John Schnepp?
Chrisley, use your whisper voice.
I kind of like sounding like a drag queen. All right, guys, actor Simon Pegg has worked with Star Wars director J.J. Abrams on several films, including 2 Star Trek films and Mission Impossible 4. And rumors have been circulating about his possible involvement in the new Star Wars. When asked about it, Pegg said the following: "Well, J.J. uses me in different roles, and we're good friends. I feel like my face in Star Wars would pop people out of the movie. Look, I love Star Wars, and I don't want people to watch and go, oh, there's Simon Pegg's face. The film is cleverly cast with these amazing unknown characters. However, when directly asked if he was or was not going to appear in the film in some capacity, Pegg was even more elusive by saying this: of course, I visited the set. It's amazing, and I love Star Wars. I want to see everything happening. Sorry, and I lost my spot. It looks wonderful, and you need to believe those characters. Any type of stunt casting might just pop you out of the movie. Dennis, do you think Pegg will appear in Star Wars in some capacity?
I believe he will, and I hope it's in the role of some sort of alien creature or something like that, with either a lot of makeup and prosthetics, or maybe a performance capture thing with visual effects, because he's right, his persona does kind of, his face like stands out. And it's much like Sam Jackson in the prequels. I love Sam Jackson, he's great in movies, but when I watch the prequels, all I see him in there is, that's Sam Jackson, and every other word out of his mouth is going to be mother effer. You know? That's all I think of.
He's going to pull out. And he's like, hey.
Exactly. So yeah, I hope he's in it, but I hope it's in a more of a hidden type role.
Yeah.
Schnepp?
Yeah, I seriously hope he does pop in, but like as like an alien in the background. I'm sure they shot a cameo. Like, he's done cameos before, and, you know, he was in one of the Romero zombie films as a zombie. It wasn't a big scene, and he was like, hey, I wanted to be in that, just so I knew I was in it. I hope they did a little quick cameo of him as an alien, maybe in the new cantina scene or whatever. So that would be great, and Pegg's awesome, so, you know, I wouldn't be, like, popped out of the movie. I'd be like, there's Pegg in the background. That's how I would feel about it, so.
Mary?
I would like him to be a droid, because I think his voice would lend itself well to droid.
That's good,
you know?
yes.
I also, you know, if you remember when Into Darkness was about to come out, and he was the one that was like vehemently denying that there was a con in the movie, and everybody got mad at him, and so I think he's being like extra careful to word it. So he's like, well, I'm not appearing in the film.
Right.
So it's leaving everybody open to speculation.
I'd love to hear him talk with Anthony Daniels, like have a droid battle, like a
I think he would be a great droid. I think his voice would lend itself really well. But anyway, I hope he's in it, but time will tell.
I think people have to get off his case about the whole con thing. Like, that's just part of the you know, the publicity and the marketing, and he was told not to say it. So
and
what else is he going to say?
Dredd totally lied and said it was another dude from another episode. Remember?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Carl Urban was like, yeah, it's this other guy. You're like, you know.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Chrisley, what's next?
Forrest Gump, the 6 Academy Award-winning film, including Best Actor, Best Director, Best Screenplay, and Best Picture, is about to have its 20th anniversary. As a part of the celebration, Paramount and IMAX are re-releasing the film for 1 week, starting September 15th on select IMAX screens. Mary, will you be going to see a digitally remastered Forrest Gump in IMAX?
I will go see Forrest Gump in IMAX. There's a couple of reasons. First of all, the thing that I love about this movie, and the thing that I loved about it when it came out, was the visual effects. It won an Academy Award for its visual effects, not because they had these big, huge, giant set pieces, but because the visual effects were so instrumental in telling the story, and yet you knew it was a visual effect when you were watching it. You know, him interacting with JFK, or sort of like, this is not real, and yet it's so amazing, and it looks real at the time anyway. So I'm really curious to see how the VFX will look in a remastered situation. And now, 20 years later, I can't believe how old I am that this movie came out 20 years ago. I feel like a dinosaur. The other thing I really love about this movie, and it got a lot of flack when it came out for being a very conservative agenda movie. Like, a lot of people said, well, it's just pushing the conservative agenda, and it's, it's whitewashing history and all this stuff. Really, to me, this is like a Buddhist meditation on being open-hearted and being in the moment and not judging anything, and how the world can reward you when you approach life with that kind of simplicity. So I always loved that about Forrest Gump, and I'm curious to see it in this new format.
Schnepp, are you going to be seeing it?
I hadn't considered it, but I might. I mean,
I convinced you, didn't I?
She might have convinced me. I liked Forrest Gump when it first came out. I've seen our planet get gumpier. I feel like more people are dumber than ever. So it's like idiocracy rules in this planet that we're on right now. So sort of I'm kind of a little bummed out about the idolization of retarded, kind of, like a little like, just not retarded, stupidity is what I'm trying to say. But I'll have to refresh my mind with the IMAX version. I haven't seen it in so long, so I'll probably check it out.
I really liked the movie when I saw it in theaters, and when I saw it again, I think I still enjoyed it, but I think it lost some of its charm. I think because seeing what you're talking about with those visual effects and whatnot, and seeing those, like, I think the second time around they didn't catch me as well as the first time. Because the first time was like, oh my God, that's hilarious, and the second time around you kind of knew it was coming. Right. So I'm on the fence. I'm thinking about seeing it, but I'm not sure yet.
I'm curious, though. Aren't you curious to see like what they look like now that they're remastering? So I wonder what that's going to mean for the visual effects.
Maybe when they release like a trailer kind of like showing maybe some of the differences, maybe they'll get me more interested.
They would have to redo a lot of the composites.
Yeah,
I mean, especially if they're blowing up to IMAX. So.
I mean, they took out Lieutenant Dan's leg with blue cloth. They wrapped his leg in blue cloth. So it's like, well, maybe it won't look, I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious to see.
What if they give you a box of chocolates, then will you go?
Yes. Absolutely. So.
All right, now on to the buy or sell portion. Chris Lee, what do we got?
The first trailer for third installment of the Night at Museum franchise has hit the web. The film stars Ben Stiller, Robin Williams, Owen Wilson, Ricky Gervais, Rebel Wilson, and Sir Ben Kingsley, and opens in AMC theaters everywhere on December 19th. Schnepp, buy or sell this first trailer for Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb.
Man, guys, I am so excited about this. I sell it. I haven't seen the first two. I will never see any of these movies. The trailer was enough for me to see and never want to see this film. So if you guys love Night at the Museum, the first two movies, once again, movies are subjective. I'm sure you're really excited and jumping around to see Ben Stiller fight a caveman version of himself. Go for it.
I'm going to have to sell it too. This movie isn't for me. I'm shocked that you have not seen Night at the Museum 1 and 2.
What about you, Dennis?
Yeah.
You're not a real
I also haven't seen it as well. I mentioned that on a previous show. Someone in the comment section went after me. I can't believe you haven't seen that movie. I'm like, is it The Godfather or something like that? Like,
Godfather of comedies in a museum where creatures come to life, and Ben Stiller's in it. Yes, it is.
But yeah, this movie isn't for me. I mean, I laughed once in the trailer. It was the Rebel Wilson part. When she's the security guard, but that ending sequence with the monkey peeing on,
oh, it's
so terrible.
That's how I felt.
So
like
terrible.
That's me peeing on the trailer. That's how I felt. I was like, I'm that giant monkey.
Maybe they're peeing on the audience. Or
That's
something.
what it felt like, an inside joke with the producers. We're peeing on a whole cast. Look, we have the power. We gave them money, and then they're in our dumb movie again. So we're that monkey.
Mirrored by
I mean, I actually now feel embarrassed to say that I've seen both Night at the Museums, and the second one I actually liked better than the first one, marginally. This isn't really for us. This is a family movie. It's a kids movie. It's coming out at Christmas. I think for what it is, they do it well, and they made a lot of money on the first two, so of course they're going to make another one. I think this is the one that's kind of going to wrap up the franchise. It's like the end of a trilogy.
Oh, don't say that. There should be at least 6 more.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I am going to sell it just because it's not for me, not because it's not good or it's not appealing to a lot of people. It's just not my cup of tea.
When I think of family movies, I think of a giant monkey with an inordinate amount of piss. Like that was so like buckets of piss. Is that a giant monkey? Of course, I know they're tiny. They're shrunken down.
No, but they're little.
They're
so
little guys.
scale.
Yeah,
He's got a lot of pee.
Yeah, that's a
The
lot
funny
of pee.
thing is, I like this cast though.
Yeah,
it's like
a great
Ricky
cast.
Gervais, Rebel Wilson, Ben
know.
Kingsley,
Robin Williams, like
all this, but yeah.
I would feel horrible if I got suckered into seeing it and I actually liked it. Then I would be like, man,
Well,
I
then
gotta
you have
eat
to come on
those
AMC
words. I gotta
Movies.
watch the first 2 now. Yeah. So who knows?
All right, what's next, Chrisley?
I'm the only one that would buy that happily. Speaking of new trailers, the second trailer for the upcoming film The Maze Runner has just hit the web. When Thomas, played by O'Brien, wakes up trapped in a massive maze with a group of other boys, he has no memory of the outside world other than strange dreams about a mysterious organization known as WCKD. Only by piecing together fragments of his past with clues he discovers in the maze can Thomas hope to uncover his true purpose and a way to escape. The Maze Runner hits AMC theaters on September 19th. Dennis, buy or sell this new Maze Runner trailer?
I have to sell it, but not for the reasons that you think. I actually liked the first trailer, and it was a nice surprise. I was interested, and then I watched this one, and I was like, what's different about this one than from the first trailer? If you watch the first trailer and this one, there's like minor changes in it. And like I was expecting some new footage, some new clips, new sequences. It's almost the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I sell it. Mary, how about you?
I'm going to sell it as well, mostly because I just feel like they dropped one girl in there and she's a babe. I'm like, really? Of course.
Isn't
the
that
one
real
girl
life,
is a
though?
babe. Well, no. I mean, I'm going to sell it. I think the deal is that this is another YA adaptation. I think it's going to probably do well. It is, we were talking about this before the show started, that there is like a derivative element there with Lord of the Flies, everybody's talking about, which I'm okay with. It just, to me, looks like I already have seen this movie and I know exactly what's going to happen, give or take a few twists here and there. So I'm not really interested in it. I see the trailer, it didn't really compel me to want to see the film, which is what trailers are supposed to do. They're supposed to make you want to go see the movie. This did not do that, so sell.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to sell it as well. I've seen this movie before. In fact, just in trailers, I was like, hey, there's a scene in Divergent where someone's in a giant tub of water, like pounding on the glass. There's so many scenes that are right out of the last 10 years of movies that I've seen, probably the last 5 years of movies that I haven't seen, just trailers from movies that I haven't seen. They're all in the Maze Runner. And it just doesn't interest me. I mean, I get really bored really quickly when it's like, we've blanked their minds, yet they can remember how to speak and all this other stuff, but they don't remember the last like 20 years of their life. It's that's a lot of power. I guess they have a little chip in their head. I don't get it. So I don't know. Run around, maze people. You know.
All right, what's next, Chrisley?
It's actually a really, really great book, but according to reports, Warner Brothers have just secured the rights to the sci-fi fantasy book series Dragonriders of Pern. Dragonflight, the first in the series of novels, follows an elite group of warriors who take to the skies on the backs of giant, fire-breathing, telepathic dragons to save the wondrously exotic planet of Pern from a terrifying airborne menace. There are 22 books in the series in total. Mary, buy or sell the idea of a Dragonriders series of films?
Telepathic, fire-breathing dragons, yes. I'm in. I'm sold. I'm going to buy this, in other words. This is also a very popular series of books, so I feel like they have an audience that's already very interested in seeing the films. This is also Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is really good at book-to-film adaptations, you know. They have had a few successful ones, and they've kind of wound down a few of their bigger franchises, so clearly they're trying to mount another big juggernaut franchise like The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings or one of those kinds of things. And I like the premise. I haven't read any of the books, but I like dragons, I like fantasy, I like science fiction. I'm assuming there's going to be some romance in there, and I'm sold. Buy it. I buy it.
I'm going to buy it as well for the reasons that you say. You know, because of Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and now even on television, Game of Thrones, fantasy is now opened up.
Yeah.
That studios are like, hey, we can actually make money on this. And you're right, Harry Potter is done with. Lord of the Rings, it's going to end after
Yeah, The
this.
Hobbit's over, right?
So they need something new. 22 books, though. I mean, that's a lot of books. I think they're going to pick probably the first 3 to do a trilogy off of. I read somewhere that they actually almost made a TV pilot. That Ronald D. Moore,
cool.
the showrunner for Battlestar Galactica, had written a script.
Best show ever.
And they had the cast and the sets and everything ready to go. And then he got notes back from the studio about his script, and they wanted to change it completely. And he's like, we're not doing it anymore.
Dragonriders of Pern, what happened?
Yes. There you go.
Someone make that documentary. I'm gonna buy this because it's exciting. I didn't read any of the Pern books. There's 22 of them. I love the covers. I've seen them every time I'm walking around Barnes and Noble. There's a whole bunch of those Dragonriders of Pern books. It's exciting to me just to hear that they're gonna try doing something like that because there's so many fantasy and deep sci-fi books that are out there that are just waiting to be adapted. So this is a good sign. So I'd buy it.
All right, cool. Before we get into mailbag, we actually have an interview with Star-Lord himself, Chris Pratt. So check out this clip.
Congratulations on the film. It's better than I possibly imagined it was going to be, which is awesome.
Thank you, John.
But I was talking to James and I said, the thing about Guardians is it's the weirdest movie they've ever done. Like, you just know that in advance. So at what point during the filmmaking process did you go, this is going to be awesome? Like, at what point did it really dawn on you that this was going to be great?
I had a lot of moments through the course of filming where I was like, I think I have a hunch that what we're doing is truly unbelievable, something unbelievable. But all of those feelings, you learn to ignore those as an actor because you just never know. You really never know. So I just hedged my bets and didn't allow myself to speculate how good it was going to be. I just wanted to see the movie, and when I finally saw the movie, it hit me that those hunches that I had that this thing was awesome, they were right, and it is.
Now, one of the coolest things about it that really clicks is this, on a very human level, it's the chemistry between the characters just works. You just love the dynamic. How? The characters are all so completely different. A couple of them are CGI.
Yeah.
You got Dave Bautista, and yet this magic between the five of you works so well. Yeah. Why did it work so well?
I think that the chemistry between these characters, the reason that it works so well, in my opinion, is that, they are so vastly different, but what they have in common is that they're all essentially orphans. And they've all lost something in their life. And they've all been running from something and been very self-centered their entire lives. So when they come together, they realize that this group, this is the first time they've ever cared for somebody. This is the first time they've ever been in a situation where they'd be willing to die for someone else. And that common thread, I think that's like a really nice universal story that resonates with people, is like the idea that, you would hopefully be willing to choose to do the right thing should a situation occur. You'd be willing to do what is right versus what's right for yourself.
Now, one of the reasons for me that, and I know for a lot of the other guys too, that Star-Lord works so well is that from the very moment the movie begins, you get the sense that there's a good amount of Chris Pratt infused in this character. So what were those conversations like between you and James at first when you're talking about what is Star-Lord? What's Peter going to look like? How did those conversations go?
Well, the first conversations, the first thing I learned about the character was from James was that I want somebody to come in here and just put themselves in and breathe their own spirit into this character. So there is a lot of myself in the character, and I was given that freedom, which is really great for me. But the conversations about the look and things like that for me was just, I got to kind of have that on my own, which was just, I'm going to, I went online and I downloaded, I downloaded this image of like your typical superhero image, which is all like the proportions of the body, and I told the trainer, I was like, I want to get there. Just tell me what to do. And so, like, in terms of his look, all of that stuff, my physicality, that was like something I got to do over the course of several months. But then like the hair and all the stuff like that, like the sideburns was James. He was like, I think he's kind of he's a child of the 80s, but is fascinated with the 70s, and that was like an evolution.
Well, listen, man, the movie is amazing. Congratulations on it, and we cannot wait to have it on AMC screens.
Oh, John, I cannot wait for your fans to see it.
All right, so you can check out Guardians of the Galaxy. It opens this Friday on August 1st. You can go to amctheaters.com and get your tickets. Before we get into mailbag, reminder, you can tweet us questions at AMC Movie News, and we're going to answer them after mailbag. So what do we got, Chris Lee?
We have our first question from Matthew Nagra. Sorry, Matthew. Hey guys, your show has been a part of my daily routine for about a year now. My question is about comedies. It seems nowadays that every comedy that comes out is rated R. This year there has been Neighbors, 22 Jump Street, Tammy, and soon Let's Be Cops. The only PG-13 comedy I can think of with any hype is Dumb and Dumber 2. Do audiences now only want to see really vulgar comedies? Why aren't there more family-friendly comedies not being made?
I take exception to the word vulgar when it comes to those movies. Like, yes, there are scenes that you wouldn't want your kids to see, right? But I wouldn't call 22 Jump Street a vulgar movie or Neighbors.
They're rated R, though, which means that families can't go see them.
Oh, of course, but
Or they
like vulgar
can, but-
means like, I don't know, they're running around with their junk hanging out through the whole movie or something like that.
Let's not forget the MPAA has these really weird restrictions where if you say the F-bomb more than once
Then it's R.
becomes R,
Yes.
which I think is really, really silly. So I mean, you know, what makes a PG-13 movie, which can have incredible amounts of gore and violence and murder, versus an R-rated comedy that has 2 F-bombs? I don't see. You know, you have to make up your own mind. You're an adult. Go see the movie. If you find it too vulgar, don't see R-rated movies anymore. I don't know what to say about that. You know, it's
I'm
like
not
there's.
even gonna go there with MPA because
Right.
I've gone off on that so much on the show. But I will say that I do miss the family-friendly comedy because I grew up in the '80s and I remember seeing movies like, you know, all the vacation movies, the Griswolds. And I love this question because I started thinking about all the movies I loved that I don't think there's a market for necessarily anymore. And it's not that people don't want to go see movies like Ghostbusters or National Lampoon's Vacation or Caddyshack or any of the movies I saw when I was a kid. And they had some humor that was inappropriate, but really, I think it just boils down to dollars. The marketplace is more crowded. There's a lot more movies coming out. There's a lot more ways to see the movies coming out. But you know, moviegoers are more informed now. There's the internet. It's a different time. So while I would love to be in a world where I could go to the theater and see the Griswolds, you know, every Christmas or every summer or whenever they come out, I just don't know that the marketplace can bear it. And I think that's really what it boils down to. I think that's why we don't see more, you know, Goonies and that kind of thing, which I know it sucks. I feel you. I feel your pain.
I think from a creative standpoint, though, it's tough. Though.
Yeah.
Like to hit that middle ground, because you're either going to go, a lot of times when you do comedies, it's like, here, this is for kids, people are running around, things fall on their head and blah, blah, blah. And then the other extreme, you know, you want to touch on subjects like sex or violence and all that other stuff, so it's hard to get that middle ground.
It's very hard.
So,
Well, also we live in a world now where, like in the '80s and even the '90s, we didn't have 5,000 channels of cable. We didn't have the Hallmark channel. There's an actual channel dedicated to Hallmark card style movies, which are family orientated. So families can all gather together, but more so now in their living room as a family unit than to go out. So what takes a movie like, that's why a lot of animated films or a movie like Maleficent make a big deal, make a big splash, because the whole family can then, hey, we can make an event out of this. So that's why I think movies have now taken that turn to market. So like a movie like Let's Be Cops, which I really cannot wait to see. I can't wait to see
funny.
that. It
The
looks
trailer
funny. They've got me sold. I want to see it. I want it to be as vulgar as possible, for as funny as possible. When I say that, I say I don't want those restrictions, like, oh, we couldn't do this, so we had to nip our creative buds to make some PG-13 roundhouse. You know, it's like, look, it's R-rated.
you're
Let
such
it be.
a vulgar person.
I know.
Yeah, you really
So
are.
vulgar.
I'm pretty vulgar.
It's
guys.
interesting though. Like, remember, God, I can't remember. I'm blanking. The Lone Ranger, I think, tried to be that. I think the Lone Ranger tried to appeal to like the whole family and ended up being kind of too violent for little kids. And also, I don't know. I feel like it's tough creatively. I think you're right. I think studios are kind of scratching their heads when it comes to how do we recreate a National Lampoon's Vacation for this era of
I think for
filmmaking.
Lone
And
Ranger, I was going to
was
start
it
it. Go ahead.
PG-13? It was PG-13, wasn't it?
I think it was.
I think so.
Yeah,
It had to be.
I want to say it was PG, but I think it was a good. It was a family film. Like if you have like raucous kids, you know, take them to go to sleep when the Lone Ranger comes on because it's 3 hours. You know, so it's a little
Or they
relaxing.
pee in their pants because
Yeah.
it's way too long for a little kid to sit in a theater. I mean, the thing is I just think money dictates these kinds of decisions, and I think that those kinds of films just don't bring the dollars the way a 22 Jump Street does anymore.
Yeah, and then, you know, you have like Night at the Museum trailer we're talking about, like, that's supposed to be family friendly, but there's well, you got a monkey peeing on 2 little guy, like, you know, that's not exactly.
Isn't that's what the family's all about now, right? Oh.
All right, what's next?
Karen Singh writes, "Hey guys, love your show and watch it every day. My question is about the rumor that is going, suggesting that Joaquin Phoenix is in talks with Marvel for Doctor Strange role. Do you think there's any truth to this? If yes, would he prove to be the sorcerer supreme we all want to see? Thanks, and bring on the filthy."
I think we talked about this on Mailbag over the weekend when we were at Comic-Con about Joaquin Phoenix and Benedict Cumberbatch, and I think the rumors are true. I'm not 100% on that, and I heard that they even gave out an offer to him and that he's mulling it over. Have you guys heard anything different?
Yeah, I heard the same thing. I personally love Joaquin Phoenix. I think he's one of the greater actors working right now. Like, I put him up there with Fassbender, and I think he's super talented. If you have not seen The Master, you absolutely have to see that movie. He's brilliant. Like, he's such a good actor. And I think he's actually the perfect guy for Doctor Strange because he dives so deep when he plays a character. He goes right in there. He goes right to the heart of what that character is. I think he would do loads of research. I think he would just completely embody that character. So I feel, and he's a little strange. Yeah. So it's perfect.
Snip, anything else to add?
No, I think he, the more I've mulled it over, the more Joaquin Phoenix as Doctor Strange has grown on me. So now I'm seriously hoping he does do it. Don't disappoint me, Phoenix. I don't know. It's like I think it would work.
All right, so we're going to take some Twitter questions. We had so many good Twitter questions yesterday that I'm actually going to get to some of them. Yesterday, Super Brian asked, could Snake Eyes get his own movie? From G.I. Joe, Snake Eyes.
I would see it. I mean, I liked Snake Eyes when I was a kid, but I don't know. It would be much more of a martial arts movie.
That would be so fantastic if they adapted that silent comic book issue as an entire movie and made a 90-minute just all action, no dialogue, except for the sounds of people dying by the hand of Snake Eyes. I would see that in a minute. Sounds great.
I think they could do it, but they'd have to incorporate, unfortunately, they would have to incorporate other characters that spoke, especially Storm Shadow and his past with Snake Eyes, and do that whole thing.
All right, maybe I was getting too artistic. Yeah. Have a couple of lines
the artistic G.I. Joe movie.
Right. It's completely no dialogue. Yeah. So.
Let's see. Robert Mullen asks, what comic book story arc would you like to see in a movie? Mine is Civil War. Mine would be probably Old Man Logan or Kingdom Come from DC. Schnepp?
Yeah, stop taking all the good ones, man. I would agree with you, Kingdom Come. I would love to see a Crisis on Infinite Earths, but DC has to establish their cinematic universe before you can have a Crisis. So with Marvel, I don't know about Civil War. Boy, you know what? I would rock a Secret Wars. Okay. Because that could, like, you could be like, they all disappear and then they all show up in different outfits, and Iron Man's not Iron Man anymore. You could do some crazy stuff. Like at the very end of at the end of 4 movies, you can have them all disappear into a weird universe, pocket universe. Be like, come back next year and see what happened,
Mary?
Well, I know they did The Dark Knight Returns in animation,
yes,
but I would really like to see a live-action version of that. I mean, I know The Dark Knight will the last one is supposed to kind of touch on that because he's older, but I would like to see them just do that.
Yeah, I think Snyder's going to incorporate a lot of that into this new Batman v Superman.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's true, because Ben Affleck's kind of old.
He's older, and they had even that teaser clip they showed, he's in this armer suit, much like in
It's
in
right out of The Dark Knight Returns.
Good, then I'm happy. Then I'm satisfied. Well, we'll see. We'll see. So that's the one I like.
All right, what do we got here? Oh, here's one that people wanted us to answer. Boxer21622 asked, thoughts on the Tusk trailer? Did you see that trailer, the Kevin Smith one?
I have not gotten a chance to see it.
Yeah, you were pretty busy. Did you see the Tusk trailer?
I did.
Okay, what did you think?
I think it looks cool. I think it looks dark, and I don't know. I like Kevin Smith, and I think he has a real voice. No matter what he does, it's kind of him. And this is a little bit of a departure, it feels like. So I'm curious to see it, and I think it looks cool.
I'll watch it after today's show because I heard that it got released. I was like, I can't wait to see it. Then distraction,
creepy.
weirdness, phone, Twitter, shows. I still haven't seen it. So it's like, I want to see it right now. So
I saw it. I liked it as well. I think the best line was at the end. I don't want to die in Canada.
I know. Well, I'm Canadian. I have to say, as a Canadian that left Canada, I understand that sentiment.
Oh.
No, I love Canada, but I'm just saying it's really cold, and there have been moments in waiting at the bus where I've thought this could be the end for me.
Wow.
This could be it. I'm that cold. It looked really cool. Yeah, it looked creepy.
All right. Besto Stars asks, is there any chance of seeing Nightwing in the DC cinematic universe. Nep, what are your thoughts on a Nightwing?
Boy, is there a chance in the next like 10 years? Sure. I mean, they're trying to get all their characters to live inside the DC cinematic universe. Are they going to do it in Batman versus Superman? I don't think so. I think they're already introducing Wonder Woman and Cyborg. They got a lot of people, and whether that script that I read 3 weeks ago is fake or not, them chucking Nightwing in there could have been like I'm not so sure about that being a real thing. It's like you never know what version of script that you're reading, whether it's fake or not.
The shooting script is usually like done at the last minute. There's always last minute changes anyway, right? Like there's always like, this is the blue version.
Like with this version of Batman in the Man of Steel or Batman vs Superman, I wouldn't be shocked to see a clear domed thing with the Robin outfit in there, like where they could show like, hey, he had a sidekick that died horribly or something like. I wouldn't be shocked to see that, So they're gonna say Robin existed at some point.
Yeah, I could see them doing Nightwing. It's actually better because then they can kind of skip over the kind of awkward Robin thing. Yeah. Where it works in the comic books, it's less so on the screen, where it's like, hey, here's a little kid and he hangs out with me and does all these crazy things.
It's a little weird. Yeah. Like I'm hanging out with this young boy.
I'm a millionaire
and he's wearing tights.
Here's the thing, though.
Kind of creepy.
Kids read comics in the 30s and 40s, so they introduced Robin so that like you as a kid, as a reader, could be like, I'm with Batman on these adventures. Yeah. That's why Robin was created. People forget that. It wasn't
but
like
then there was that time when Robin was a woman.
You know?
They turned Robin into a girl.
Which I thought was kind of cool. That was like it was a spin out, you know, like they do it all the time.
Yeah, I know.
Thor's a woman now.
Yeah. I'm down with that though.
See, it's kind of cool.
Thor with boobs. Yes, please.
All right.
I like it.
Out of all the things, Hector J writes, out of all the things about Avengers Age of Ultron, what are you most excited about? For me, it's the Hulkbuster versus Hulk. Miri?
I'm excited for the Scarlet Witch because I love Elizabeth Olsen, and she's not someone I associate with that character necessarily so readily. So I'm kind of curious to see that, and I'm excited. I'm just excited for the whole thing.
I am most excited to see the Vision come to life.
Yeah, that's also another one.
Being a big Avengers fan, especially all those old Avengers, I read almost all of the first 100 Avengers, and I can't wait to see Whedon's take on how he brings the Vision to life and how.
But isn't it how's the Jarvis and the Vision? Like, because Paul Bettany's playing the Vision,
correct.
So are they going to do that connection?
Oh yeah, they're
that's
woven
cool,
together.
That's what it is in the comics.
Yeah,
like
they're definitely they're part of the same thing. So.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking for the Hulkbuster armor fighting the Hulk as well. All right, one last question, really quick. Vega writes, most anticipated movie, Pacific Rim 2 or Godzilla 2? This is easy for me, Pacific Rim 2.
As equally easy for me, Pacific Rim 2.
Miri?
I don't know, I'm going to go with Godzilla.
All right, cool. All right, guys, so that's it for us. Thanks for watching. I'd like to thank the people at the table with me. Miss Miri, where can people find you?
At Miri the Jedi, everywhere. Just Google that. You'll find me.
Yeah, so at John Schnepp on Twitter and Instagram, and at TDOSLWH for my Superman thing. Just go to supportsupermanlives.com.
And Chris Lee, thanks for braving it out and going through your messed up voice to help us out here. Where can people find you?
Drinking tea and on Twitter and everywhere else at Chris Lee.
And you can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero and on Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Thanks for joining us. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys later.
Hey everyone, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.